Hey there, darlings. Welcome to the Farmer's Table. My name is Jess, and I'm happy to have you here with me in my kitchen today, where we are going to make some lemon loaf, lemon cake, lemon pound cake. It's delicious, it's lemony, and it's sweet. Recently in a video, I mentioned making lemon loaf, and I had a few people reach out and ask me for my recipe. But here's something about the way that I cook. Because we grow so much of our own food, I am not like going to the grocery store once or twice a week. Sometimes like weeks will go without me going and doing like a rounded grocery shopping trip. Usually if I'm going to get ingredients, it's to pair with what we're growing and what we're using off our farm. So things like fresh lemons is not something that I am always buying. I will buy fresh citrus sometimes, but it doesn't grow locally to me. So it's just not like on the real regular repertoire of things on my grocery list. And because of that, you'll often see me using like bottled lemon juice. I get this at Costco. It is, this brand particularly is really good. It's organic. It's called Italian Volcano. 100% Sicilian lemon juice, not from concentrate. I really like this stuff, and I find that this is better in most applications that I'm using than buying the lemons that are at the store that were shipped from wherever. I just like the flavor here. And then I'll also use like pure lemon extract. I order this. This is like Watkins brand. Now, the last couple of years, my friend Betsy, who lives in California, has gifted me like a really big bag of lemons from her backyard lemon tree. She just brought it in her suitcase when she visits South Carolina, and it has ruined me entirely to the very, very thick skin lemons that you buy at the store here. So this is what I typically use. Now, the lemon loaf that I make, if I have a lemon, I will use the zest of it, and I'll use that juice to make the icing for the lemon loaf. But otherwise, it does not use fresh lemons. Now, today I'm going to be making this cake because my son Ben has been requesting it for at least 2 weeks now. And he's here in the kitchen with me. Will you come here, Ben? I'd like to introduce you to my friends. If you have never met Ben in a video, this is Ben. He's 10 years old, and he loves helping in the kitchen, and he also loves lemon cake. Right? Okay, so this is a really easy recipe. So this original recipe came from a blog called Avery Cooks. This is a new bottle of this. And I found it by searching lemon loaf recipes that use extract, because I buy this big bottle of extract, and as I mentioned, I don't always have fresh lemons. Now, she calls for sour cream. I use yogurt usually because I usually just have more of that on hand. And she calls for like canola oil or vegetable oils, and I use avocado oil. So I've changed it a little bit. And today we're actually going to do one loaf with all-purpose flour, and then I'm going to do some fresh milled flour and do a second loaf and just kind of compare them side by side to see how they do. All right, you ready to get started? I'll put a link to the recipe down below. Quick breads like this are great if you're wanting to get into baking, making things from scratch so you know what's in them, but you don't have a lot of equipment, because this all just mixes together in one bowl. You do need a loaf pan for this. I've got this stone loaf pan here. I'm going to do two since we're doing the two different kind. And stoneware is typically nonstick, but as an added precaution, I always go ahead and spray mine with some oil. This is avocado oil in this sprayer. I will link this. They are so handy. You want to coat the whole thing. So hold it back a little bit so your spray is more evenly coated, because whenever you're spraying up close, it's like a strong stream and it doesn't coat as much. You want to do the next one? Sure. We want to preheat our oven to 350. Okay, we need 3 eggs. We're going to crack ours in a separate bowl first, because these farm fresh eggs are gorgeous, but also could be taking time bombs of doom, so we need to make sure that we protect ourselves from that and any other ingredients, which right now we're starting with eggs, but especially if you've already got a bunch of ingredients in the bowl, don't ever crack fresh eggs straight into it. Okay? Alright, to that we want to add 1 cup of granulated sugar. Nice.
Mom, do you think there's anybody at their home making this right with us?
Maybe someone is making it along with us. I bet some people will make it after they watch us make it, and then they will refer back to this.
Oh.
Isn't it nice to get to share some of your favorite things with people all over the world?
Yeah.
Into our eggs and sugar, we want to put a cup of either sour cream or like a thick yogurt, like Greek yogurt. Okay, probably going to need to scrape that one out. Now, yeah, you go ahead and whisk. So you go ahead and whisk it. We want to whisk these ingredients together. And we want to add a half a cup of avocado oil. Okay, so I'm going to add this avocado oil in, half a cup. Now, if you have a lemon, which I do not today, I do really love adding lemon zest to this. So you want to zest 1 lemon. It's going to be like between, zest is where you take that grater and you just grate from the outside of the rind. It has a lot of flavor in it.
Like the outside or the inside?
The outside, the yellow part on the outside. And it does bring a real brightness to it. It is really great. It is also still really tasty without that. But the zest of 1 whole lemon, and I usually will use the juice of that lemon to make my icing. But the real thing that's going to give you the majority of the flavor is lemon extract, and we do 2 whole tablespoons, which is quite a bit. You can go less on this, especially if you use the zest, but I prefer it to really have that punch, so I do 2. All right, good deal. Which is why I buy this bottle that's so much bigger, because the little bottles of extract at the store just are not cutting it. All right, good job.
You're looking yellow.
It's looking yellow, that's true, but that's really just because of the eggs.
Yeah, and then inside.
So I get this big container for flour at the restaurant store. I used to just use like a tote thing that I had, but I buy my flour bulk, and I really like to keep it in something that I can sort of toss it around and get it nice and loose before I measure it. Anytime you're using a recipe that calls for measurements instead of weight when you're baking, it is assuming when you're using flour that you're not packing it hard. If you pack it hard, it's a different amount than if you have it nice and loose. So, you know, toss your flour around a little bit first and then get your measurements. Here we need 1.5 cups of flour. So let's do that. And then we want to fill that about halfway up. Let's see. I'd say that is just about perfect. Good job. Thank you. And then stir that in. All right, now we need 2 teaspoons of baking powder. Another thing I buy bulk online, I shared about this in a recent video because I get this aluminum-free baking powder online, and I buy a box that has 4 of these. At the time of this recording, it's roughly about $20, and this is aluminum-free baking powder. Now, when I mentioned that in a video, someone was like, hold the phone. Are you telling me that regular baking powder has aluminum in it? And it actually does have, like a lot of the baking powders that you get at the store do have aluminum in them. And when you buy the aluminum free ones at the store, they're typically pretty expensive. So I buy this online and it saves money. So we want 2 teaspoons of this. So we don't want those mounded up. We just want them nice and even. Okay, mix that together. Okay, pinch of salt.
Pinch of salt.
And that's it. That's pretty dang easy, huh?
Yeah, I can make it by myself.
Yeah, I bet you could. All right, so now we are going to take our prepared pan that is greased and ready to go. There's a little extra yogurt on there, but that's okay. I'm keeping up. What? You gonna taste it? Is it good? I'm going to pour this in, scraping the bowl.
You don't have to let it rise?
No, not a yeast bread. It's called a quick bread, or this is technically like a
Wait, are we making 2 bowls?
cake. Yeah, I'm going to make another bowl. I'm going to use my grain mill and grind some flour. This is not a necessary step. This is something I saw in a video and I started doing it. When you cook a quick bread like this, it's going to crack. Like the loaf, whenever it rises, is going to have a crack in it. And it probably does not matter how that cracks. Like if it's uneven, if it's off to one side. But one thing you can do to make your crack uniform in your loaf is kind of put a little dent or a little trench in your bread and run one little drizzle of oil right down the middle, and it will cause it to crack uniformly right down the middle. So I'm going to go ahead and put this in the oven, and we're going to start on that second loaf. We need to wash this bowl out so we can use this again and wash off the whisk, the things that had the regular flour on it. Let's go ahead and wash those. Would you mind doing that for me, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. All right, my helper went outside with his brother to go swimming, so I'm going to finish out with fresh milled flour. I'm going to use soft white wheat berries for this. I'm going to go ahead and do the full 1.5 cups. I'm going to add an extra tablespoon of lemon juice to the recipe just to give it a little more liquid. And then I'm going to mix the batter and then just let it sit for like 15 minutes. I milled a little bit of extra flour because I'm going to fry some tomatoes. Fresh milled flour smells so good. This is new to me. I got this mill for my birthday in December, so I'm going on about 6 months of experimenting with it. And I'm not a big baker, so when I say experimenting with it, it's been casual experimentation. I'm not using it every single day. But so far, I have found that though gluten really does bother me, using fresh milled grains really doesn't. So it's been really awesome. So same process, I'm just gonna throw this together and I will meet you guys at the end. So same process, I'm going to throw this together really quick. I am gonna let this rest for about 15 minutes. You can do like 15 to 30 minutes, which is allowing the bran and the germ, which are in my wheat because I just ground it, so it's the whole grain, to soften, which really improves the texture of this. If, you know, I just made these side by side, and probably most people are not gonna do that, but if you notice that your dough's like real thick, you can add just a little bit more, like a splash, as I use like a tablespoon of lemon juice in here, or if your recipe calls for milk or something like that, you should put a little splash in. But I don't think that this needs it. Just the texture I think is gonna be fine with that little extra lemon juice and the rest. So at the end of 15 minutes, I'll give this a stir, put it in my pan, and put it in the oven. I'll have to set a separate timer because I already have that other loaf in there, but that's fine. Confession. I got a little distracted. My timer was very nearly going off, and I looked out in the field and I noticed one of my goats was standing funny. And so I went out there. And so you would normally bake this for 50 to 55 minutes. This one got about 10 extra minutes, and it shows. It's okay. Stoneware is very forgiving. It's real life, I guess. So I like to let it cool enough to bring it out and sit it on something. This is a cup or so of confectioner's sugar, powdered sugar. And into this, I want to do, I don't know, a couple tablespoons of lemon juice and about a half a tablespoon of vanilla extract. I do make my vanilla extract. I have a video detailing that. Mix this together to make our glaze. So I like to wait till the loaf has cooled off, you know, where it is touchable. It's not super hot. You don't have to wait till it's completely cool, but before you glaze it, because we want this glaze to dry on here. So this is kind of the consistency we're looking for. Horrible, but not super thin. And this is gonna come down to preference, whether you wanna add a lot of sugar. You don't even have to glaze this. It's really good as it is. But I like to kind of try to pour on the top so it'll run down the sides. And I would normally wait for this to completely cool, but I want to cut into it so you guys can see the texture. There we have it, that lovely thick kind of pound cakey crumb. One really cool thing with this is that you can bake these, and then before they're glazed, just wrap them up in foil, put them in the freezer. And whenever you're ready to use it, you can just take it out and heat it up in the oven, wrapped in that foil, and it's just like it's fresh. So this is kind of how we would eat this. Just in a nice slice like this, great with a cup of tea or cup of coffee, very much like what you would get at a coffee house, just in a little slice like this. I'm gonna put this back together so that it's not drying out, so that Ben can have it. So my fresh milled flour loaf is right here. Obviously does not have the same rise, which I completely expected. This one is not really cool enough to get out of here yet. But I don't plan on icing it. I figured maybe we could take a little slice out of it and take a look at the crumb of it. Things with fresh milled flour are denser, and they have, I've heard it called a more rustic crumb, just not as refined. But my favorite parts of anything like this is the really crispy edge bits. So good. So I will say, with the fresh milled flour, the absence of the lemon zest in this is way more notable. Like, it is less, the lemon extract does not carry through as strong as it does with the all-purpose flour, and that's probably just because the flour here has so much more flavor. This tastes more bready. It's amazing. It tastes really good, and I like it very much as it is. But I would note, whereas I'm like winging it on the other loaf, being like, I don't have a lemon, it's fine. That loaf is more lemony than this one is. All right, well, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Thank you for hanging out with us today. I bless you. Until next time.